of part before all of a sudden Li Changsun's eyes changed. The change in his eyes is given by constellation snake that wraps around the world. The constellation admired Li Changsun and bestow his blessings and skills. Serpentine ice temporarily changed become viper ice like a snake. Li Changsun precisely recognized the area battle and find loopholes enemy defense. Li Changsun was also surprised because of the constellation give his blessings without any conditions. Looks like he wants to test the ability. Li Changsun with eyes viper ice took aim at his weak point. After that, because of the poison from the decomposing spider is pretty strong, Li Changsun used low-grade poison tolerance. Looks like fire is coming out of Li Changsun's body. It was a group fire head which has neutralized poison that enters the body. After successfully neutralizing the poison, he immediately shot forward, attacked the boss monster's leg with just a Li Changsun's one slash was successful, cut off the boss monster's leg. After it, while jumping to the top monster, Li Changsun said to get using hit of the extra gun. I need something burnable. The greatest burning is poison among many kinds of poison. Monster body organs decomposing spider is the best. Then Li Changsun uses Viper Ice Eyes to see Dot's weak point. After seeing his weak point, immediately launched an attack. That point unfortunately attacks Li Changsun reflected as if it struck a stone hard. Then from the surface of the skin, decomposing spider looks like rotten zombie face, and breaking ghouls squirt poison from its mouth and almost about Li Changsun. According to Li Changsun, he keeps spitting poison. The level I've been raising for so long, the last 3 days, apparently not useful. Well then I run first, said Li Changsun. On the other hand, Young Yi is after ran long enough it suddenly stopped from seeing a lot of monster corpses scattered. With his face full with regret, he said in his heart, is this Li Changsun's doing again? Though maybe there must be something else going on. In the midst of his frustration, he tried to think positively, but since the notification appears visible achievement unusually, a dungeon level appeared. Look at Li Changsun's ranking, which point previously only 7,500 points has now become 29.550 point. Seeing the notification was Young Yi suddenly surprised. Then he thought hard in his heart. He said if Li Changsun definitely uses some kind of trick or he's playing dirty. If no, how can there be ordinary people who are able to become very strong in time short? Not long after, the notification appeared saying that player Li Changsun are fighting with decomposing spider. After seeing that, Young Yi immediately ran to find the whereabouts of Li Changsun. Then the story moved to where Li Changsun is seen, currently chased by decomposing spiders. It turns out that Li Changsun lured boss the monster into a trap that he already made before, and that monster also fell into the trap. Not enough got there in his trap, Li Changsun have placed a rune of explosion. Instantly rune of explosion explode and burn the boss monster's body. Decomposing spider, because of that not enough to kill him, Li Changsun activates the rune of penetration on a spiky wood below. Looks like a rune penetration the decomposing body spider, and the attack was successful, making the decomposing spider fall down to the bottom of the trap and made land all around collapsed. Look at it, Li Changsun immediately gripped the yang rope tightly he had prepared beforehand because Li Changsun made a big trap. Normally, finally the achievement was obtained. Li Changsun said that this is just the beginning from my trap. Moments later, decomposing spider appears with mouth that was almost crushed, and its body that was bleeding. See, decomposing spiders are still alive. Li Changsun really won't forgive him. Cut the rope he was holding and came out the pointed stick that he had been given the rune of penetration. The attack managed to break through decomposing skin spider. Cave monster arena came to its senses that he would die if he continued this fight, even though that monster tried to escape. Look at it, Li Changsun also chased after him and again activating the trap he set before and managed to hit decomposing spiders. Suddenly, just from the top of the cliff, there is Young Yi and the people who follow him. Young Yi said, if we intervene now, we're all gonna die. I have to wait for the right moment and wait for them both to become weaker. After some time waiting, Li Changsun the decomposing spider was still fighting. With his evil smile, Young Yi suddenly got an idea. He said in his heart, if I threw these weaklings, then we could weaken him a bit. Because of him, definitely try not to hurt them. From the other side, where Li Changsun looks like he's trying to stab again, the dagger is in the place where the heart is decomposing spider is at. Because the monster was already dying, Li Changsun managed to stab his dagger, and finally he managed to beat the final monster boss. After successfully defeating the boss monster that he took his organs and ate them, Li Changsun's level rose to level 20. You can see Li Changsun's ranking in dungeons went up drastically because of his extraordinary achievements. Administration department will provide additional gift. Li Changsun received unknown number of points in number and an unknown god amount. Interested and want to get Li Changsun. Then the system notification said that the dungeon was about to start closing. But from a distance looks Young Yi and his comrades hid and wanted kill Li Changsun. Young Yi thinks if Li Changsun can't stand up because of fatigue, and they started attack. When it's time to attack, Young Yi was surprised because Li Changsun, considered exhausted, suddenly laughed. Li Changsun starts to stand up and a notification system appears that says if player Young Yi and his flock has fallen into a trap. There I was surprised to hear the notification. Young Yi said, "What does it all mean this?" Li Chang-sun replied, "What else would it be? It means your end." Heard thing that Young Yi told his colleagues to kill Li Chang-sun, but with easily Li Chang-sun attacked people, that is until they both met and fighting each other. But with such a huge difference in power, Young Yi's hand bounces back, seeing that Li Chang-sun smiled and make a stabbing motion towards Young Yi. Either luck or indeed the skill that Young Yi has him managed to dodge that attack that terrible. After that he ran to colleagues and used them to be used as a sacrifice to run. Seen from the top of the Park Hee-Soo cliff, it said in his heart, it turned out Young Yi is right, only pawns from the gods from the start, they're just targeting Li Chang-sun. Young Yi just a piece to strengthen Li Chang-sun is the same as that time. Story moving again to Young Yi looks, instead he killed his comrades. Apparently it did forget life energy becomes stronger, but for some reason it fails in receiving life energy, and suddenly from in front of him there is Li Chang-sun, who attacked with all his might Young Yi's energy with the attack that. But unfortunately he didn't succeed with that attack, and Li Chang-sun attack managed to stab the upper part of his arm to make Young Yi's arm severed. Young Yi too screamed in pain, and suddenly the corpses of people who died expending life energy and entered Li Chang-sun's body. System 2 said for no reason known life energy is delivered to others. Young Yi was shocked seeing that. Then Li Chang-sun said, "Young Yi, your name sounds familiar, I don't remember." With that look full of annoyance he shouted, "Why don't you remember who I am?" "Because it's you, I got kicked off the team." Li Chang-sun finally remembered. Li Chang-sun said, "So you came to me then complained about being kicked out of the team." People who complain in a way that disgusting your disgusting nature absolutely unchanged. Instantly, Young Yi, who heard it, was angry while running, attacked Li Chang-sun. He said, "I was disgusting. I am not the person I used to be, now I have gods helping me." Suddenly he stopped when saw a system notification that said an unnamed constellation looked down on his messenger, who said that as a person who is not useful, with his pitiful face said, "Impossible." And without lingering any longer, Li Chang-sun his dagger and slashed Young Yi's neck, which was on. Finally he died. When Young Yi dead, life energy that resides inside his body out, all that energy entered Li Chang-sun's body. Then to be precise, on Li Chang-sun's neck looks like the red circle absorbs energy life. Previously in the cave scene, Li Chang-sun changing the seal of given symbol Young Yi. Li Chang-sun said, "Now you have being the same host as Young Yi, but if you receive that energy you will die because your body will not strong to hold it, because it's me create another seal next to it, with this way you can take it." Story continued again at Li Chang-sun's place, where seen he was in pain because absorbed different energies with Li Chang-sun's current energy. Then a notification popped up that said Constellation Snake around the world was very impressed to see who can change seals with such a high level. Constellation Snake around the world praised your good idea in using low-level runes as medium for channeling energy. Suddenly just absorption of life energy stopped. According to Li Chang-sun, it is being tested, I don't know which god is testing him. After that a notification appears which said the unknown constellation, his name admires action Li Chang-sun. He was thinking of what gift right to give to Li Chang-sun, and gifts are given in 5 seconds. You see people getting up with a life energy, and behind Li Chang-sun there Park Hee-Soo, who hides behind a stone. Park Hee-Soo said in his heart, this happen again. If Li Chang-sun doesn't fit their expectations and if he doesn't interest them, then the whole existence will be annihilated. Li Chang-sun glance which is empty and cool. You definitely decide to receive all that life energy, but Li Chang-sun chose not to accepting the offer. Li Chang-sun said to that constellation that he is don't believe in God, hid its name. That constellation just realized that his name is still hidden, and that constellation too shows his name, it is the great demon of the abyss. Li Chang-sun widened. Mephistopheles was one of the grade demons, strongest among other demon grades. He very strong, even Tiamat though need a lot of preparation before face it. He likes to be alone and does not like to carelessly reveal his identity. Then a system notification said that the dungeon being paused would be closed resumed. From a distance it looks like the little boy called Li Chang-sun. It turned out that he wanted to ask for Li Chang-sun's phone number, but Li Chang-sun instead gave a bone. Apparently behind the bone there is an address where it can be removed the seal. Li Chang-sun said that he was not yet an expert in matters of seals. He also said hello farewell to the little boy, and dungeon has also been destroyed. When the little boy opened his eyes he could see a crowd of people surrounding himself and be with survivors of the dungeon. Then on the other hand Li Chang-sun was seen walking towards his house, and suddenly a quest scenario appeared. Choose a guardian god. The player gets to choose the protection that god will bring down his blessings and strengthen them, and choose the patron god who will always be with you until death. Then a good season to hunt with confidence said he was an option best. Such a constellation promises your position as the first arrow. Snake around the world suggested that herself best suits your personality. Constellation that makes you a good position. The great demon of the abyss calmly waiting for your answer. The constellation promises you a position as the final observer. According to the third Li Chang-sun, that constellation is the most useful at this time, the rest is not important and disproportionate to them. Time was running. Suddenly there is still someone who wants Li Changsun. He is Owl that pierces the dusk, or his real name is Minerva, the original owner of the seal coveted by Mephistopheles. Li Changsun did not think that he made attracted to the constellation that always defends the truth. Seems that Li Changsun is attractive attention for successfully restraining Mephistopheles and saves people. In the end, due to this, Li Changsun's personality balance was slightly off, leads to a better direction. Although his evil nature is a little more big, in time to choose any gods it's finished. Because Li Changsun didn't choose any god, any achievement is open. God unknown. The numbers feel angry and disgusted with your greed has no end. You are getting famous. Point karma from your achievement has reached 100.000. Then Li Changsun saw a building. Apparently the building is a work association player concert for freedom. Is organization under the auspices of the Bureau on Safety Management, made with the purpose of setting dungeons and gates. Sometimes they have great authority such as cross-travel authorities, state and investigative authorities. Absolute. Of course it's because of officials running the association. In the association building, a member of a moderate association saw the media busy highlighting association. Hearing that a woman named Ka Yang, class agent, the three associates looked irritated because of the media just writing association ugliness. Then the man shows the bottom typing, man covering his head with a jacket, who he really is. So the essence of conversation they both are, they want to find the whereabouts of people who covering his head with a jacket because of him. Is a sudden Rocky comes up and finishes and double check. Fire association parties still have not discovered the whereabouts of that person. All of a sudden just someone member of the association opened the door and said we found him, and said he was at home. Then story move where the person is looking for, apparently it is Li Changsun, looks like he has come home and saw his mother cooking soup kimchi. Then Li Changsun said in her heart, it's the first time I kissed aroma kimchi soup for hundreds of years. I really didn't expect it that I have come home. Okay, that's all for the manhwa storyline entitled Return of the Broken Constellation Part 4. Keep supporting this channel by subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss it. Thank you very much, see you soon.